days youth are really prone to?
Obesity.
Diabetes, obesity,
Medicine,
high blood pressure.
medicine. I mean, you have kids that their attention span is not there, so they resort
Okay.
to medicine, which therefore, if you can give them something to exert their energy, then therefore they come back and they're more focused.
So we'd rather them exert their energy and take notes, obviously.
Absolutely.
And we would rather them be able to play and to socialize and go into the science stuff that I'm getting ready to talk about than to just pop a pill and be labeled for the rest of their lives.
Yes.
It's kind of my personal soapbox. Thank you for agreeing.
Yes.
And we want them to be able to go out because we know right now in this age group, if we're talking their itty bitties, that heart disease is now almost as common and rampant in the K through 8 population as it is in adults. That's frightening. And if you think of it just from an insurance and a medical and a financial standpoint, we're not going to be able to afford ourselves in a little while if we don't, where is it? Just move. If we don't just move, we just have to get them moving. And we know the results of lack of activity directly linked to diabetes, directly linked to the obesity. And we also know that there are so many brain hormones and chemicals we're going to talk about in just a second that are released that you're saying that if we can just get them to move, all of that just naturally occurs and they kind of settle down. And that activity actually prepares the brain for homeostasis if we just let them move a titch. Most people think they're going to get wound up, they're going to get so excited, they're not going to be able to sit back down. But that's what we do at the Roberts Academy. I do movement and performance at the Roberts Academy. And our goal is to move them as much as we can because movement actually creates homeostasis in the brain. And so the more we can move them and the more I play with them with intentional movement patterns, they then go back into the classroom with a better balanced brain. Now they're ready for reading, literacy, and math. So if we do any type of movement, what we're really doing is preparing the brain for learning. And we're preventing all the secondary disease that comes with lack of physical activity. Does that make sense to you?
Yes.
Okay, what you just did is called an affinity diagram. The handout went around. You can do this for any age group. For the little ones, a lot of times what we have them do is draw pictures. Draw a picture or two. They might just be learning how to write. It's a great writing example for them as well. So this is an activity that you can use in any of your classrooms for any subject, any level. It just doesn't matter. Just make it fun. The big thing that we do with the affinity diagram, what did I tell all of you to do at least?
Walk 7 steps.
You have to at least walk 7 steps. Okay, go back to your chairs. And I'll start on this side because you guys didn't get the last thing now. But I'll give it to Mrs. Riggs so she'll have it online. You have heard of Bloom's taxonomy, correct? Well, there's a revision to Bloom's taxonomy, and the names are a little bit different. It came out, I believe, in 2009 or 2008. And what I have taken the liberty of doing is linking instructional strategies to the levels of Bloom's taxonomy. And I was telling Mrs. Rakes and the Roberts Academy teachers the other night that I no longer do clinical medical research. All of my research now is brain-based learning, action-based learning, and how do we get our students to be better students with movement. And there's an amazing wealth of information out there, but we just have to bring it into the settings that are appropriate and that make sense. When you look at this handout, the blue one that I just gave you, the blue and the white are the same, just take one of them. When you look at this, almost all of the activities, the instructional strategies are on the right, the levels of Bloom's taxonomy are on the left. Almost every single one of these strategies involves movement. And you can determine how far you want them to move based on how your classroom is set up and what you're doing with them.
You only need
So
one.
just
They're the same.
keep that in mind. Blue and white are the same, just take one. I did have green in there too, but I thought it might be too confusing. So we know the positive stuff that physical activity can do for children, correct? And we also know that there are some huge physical, social, and emotional risks that come into play if we don't allow the children to play and have movement, correct? Thank you. That slide is in almost every presentation I do. I love it. Now, what I want to talk about is nutrition. We tapped into it as we began to talk about physical activity in general, and we were looking at the benefits and whatever you were writing down when we did our affinity diagram. Not much came in about nutrition, but obesity did, diabetes came up in the conversation. And what we want to talk about are the benefits to these children, and let's keep it to like K6 just so that we can have the focused concentration that we keep talking about. The health benefits, but also the risk behaviors. We know the risks because nutrition is the same as physical activity. I don't care how far I run or how far I walk, how many Pilates or yoga sessions I go to. If I'm not eating right, do I have the full equation? No. Why does it matter? Intake, because I'm eating potentially garbage, right? If I'm not eating all the right stuff, it's really not going to matter. And what we have to look at is what we're feeding our children, but also what we're allowing them to expend. So it's the calories in, calories out thing that we have to pay attention to. A lot of people just look at that final number at the end of the day. Well, I'm looking at my pedometer and I walk blank steps. Don't look, because I'm actually really low today. I didn't have as many meetings as I normally do. I have to go home and walk. But it's not just calories in, calories out. And it's not just how many steps I move. It's what did I eat since I woke up this morning? How many Starbucks coffees did I have? With sugar, I know. We have manipulative of the Starbucks coffee things with the fat and the sugar in it. I decided not to bring that because this is an evening class. And we probably all hit it on the way here, didn't we? And I didn't want to confess. So. What I brought was this. And this is just a global overview, and I'd like you guys to come up and look at some of these, or just get closer and I'll hold them up. But these first two are showing us the distributions of fat. This one right here is just talking about fat. It's the good fat versus the bad fat. So if you see the liquidy in here, that's the good fat, which would be our HDL. This is the blobby stuff is the bad fat. Okay, which would be the LDLs or just the really bad fats. I don't have my glasses, so. This is an example of a cooked sirloin steak. Does the good fat? Ooh. And we thought steak was great. Is red meat the real meat? Ooh, that's philosophical. Any vegetarians in here? I'm gonna get beat up on the way out. Okay, let me find something different. Let's not look at meat. Ooh, how about this? Corn chips. Oh boy, buy me a bag. I know. On the way home, I'm eating 4 bags. Look at this. The good fat outweighs the bad, but how much fat's in there? There's a lot happening. Yeah, we haven't even touched any salt and the other chemicals. And just another example or two. What's the little one? This little one? This is chicken breast.
Yay, that's nice.
So those who eat this, chicken breast, not bad, huh? If we're comparing it to all the other things, so this is an example of a food item that has an appropriate portion and amount. It's not just the proportion, it's the amount as well of the good versus the bad.
Is that just